Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joining me today from the city of Fitchburg, your mayor, Aaron Richardson. Aaron, welcome back to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. How are you?
Thank you for being on the show, and I'm doing well. We've changed your timing here, so we're talking to you a little bit earlier in the month than usual, but you have so many good things to talk about, so it's actually works out in our favor and yours to talk about what's going on in Fitchburg. And we got a lot to get to. We're going to start with the investment plan. Just had the public hearing on your proposed plan. Where are we going next?
So the next step is you can see it on our website. It's out there. You can look at all the great things I would like to do. And now council members can submit amendments. So if they want to add things, if there's something on there that they'd want to take away, they can submit those amendments. And those are due in the next few days here. Once those are in, then we'll talk about those as a council and vote on whether or not we want to add those or remove stuff if possible. It's a little different. I think we talked about this last time where we don't have to hit a certain number. We can be a little bit above what we have allocated. And with all the different programs and grants and things going out there right now, it's very possible that we'll be able to utilize some of those for some of these projects. And so that we will actually be able to do those things. I mean, that's the hope anyway, is we'll be able to do some of those things that we didn't think we could.
Yeah, absolutely. And then after the plan is adopted, what is the next step? Because I think that might be the question here is like, there are a lot of projects. You don't expect them to get done all right away, but what will people hear about after this?
Well, I think there might be a few things that we tried to get approval for right away, things that we had planned to do in this budget, but had gotten pushed back. And so we want to get that okayed through the council. And so we'll do some of those things. But then a lot of those things are also going to be then included in the CIP, the capital improvement plan. And so they'll be put in there, which then goes to the operating budget, which gets approved in the fall. Like you said, we're not going to do everything next year. We'll do some stuff for sure, but it's just too much to expect to do all that at once. So we'll have a lot of opportunities for people to weigh in before we get to October, November, when we actually approve the final overall project. But it's a long process, and it's an important process. And it's really the most important thing we do is figure out what the budget is.
Absolutely. And we'll keep you all up to date on that as CIP has started and which capital improvement project for next year. So it'll be a busy time here for city staff and yourself, but we'll be getting the details out soon. Changing gears to election season is coming up. No primary here this year in Fitchburg, but still have election going on. Give us some of the details of the upcoming elections.
Yeah, I know the clerk's department's pretty happy about not having to do a primary. It's a lot of work for them. So good for them. They've had a rough couple of years with COVID, so that's all right. But the April will be the main election for Fitchburg. The city council only has one contested seat, and that's in District 1. We've got 2 people vying for that seat. Otherwise, the county board, there's no contested seats. I think there might be some school board seats that are contested. I'm not sure about all the school boards myself, to be honest, but most of it is not going to be contested, which is okay. You should still get out and vote. Lots of things out there. It's a good habit to have because there's going to be more elections this year. There's going to be a primary again in August, and then November is the midterm elections. And so that's a really big one as well. So it always helps to, if you want to do absentee ballot, you can sign up for all those right away for the whole year and just get in that habit. It's a good habit to do. And we were pretty lucky to have a democracy where we can vote.
Absolutely. We got a great staff there in the clerk's department and all of the election inspectors, workers. They do a great job and glad to have them back as well. New polling locations, some changes in that front. What do you know?
Yeah, so right now all 4 places are the same, but who votes at the place is a lot different. District 1 is to be the same, Little John's, but it is a bigger district now. And so there are some people who live north of McKee Road that are actually now in District 1, so they'll be voting out there. And then the other polling places are the same. However, it's just changing who votes at those locations. And so most people will actually be changing where they vote. we will be sending out a postcard in March, just a little bit before the election, to remind people and to let them know where they go, because that's a big piece to it as well. And so we're required to do that, but we do that anyway. And hopefully the Star will have something in there as well. But that's a big thing, is we don't want people to show up at the wrong place the day of the election, because those will still be polling places. It's just, well, it's changed for most people. There's a few people that have changed districts, and so they might be in the same spot, but most people in the city will be at a different spot.
Yeah, this was all part of the district mapping, redistricting mapping that happened earlier in the season, earlier in the year, or late last year, I should say, really, that finished up. So part of that. But yes, we'll continue to get the word out here from the city's sake, and make sure everybody gets to the right place. Finally, quickly, transportation update, Mayor, from council. We heard a little bit about this at council, but tell us what you know.
Yeah, last night we approved extending our contract and agreement with Massa Metro for bus service. They are in the process of evaluating all the routes throughout the whole network, actually. So there might be some changes to service, and that's something that they're bringing forward. But I mean, this is on transportation, something that we're always going to have. We need to have bus service. That's a core service for me, something that we're always going to have. We were just evaluating the options with Massa Metro. And so happy to say that we are going to continue that with minimal increases year over year. They might change some routes, though. That's the one thing that we're not quite sure about at this point in time. There are some routes that get used a lot more than others, and a couple of them that aren't used a whole lot. They might take those away, but then have more frequent service on some of the other routes that are popular, so that instead of maybe every hour, it's every half hour. Instead of every half an hour, maybe it's every 15 minutes. And so we'll have the same, they call them service hours. So we'll have the same amount of time running, but it might not be on all the same routes. And so they're doing that's right now, to really figure out what's the most efficient way for them to provide service. We don't have a lot to say in that. Obviously, it'd be great to have the bus service go throughout the entire city, but unfortunately, it's just not feasible. It's expensive. And if only one person a day is using a route, unfortunately for that person, it's just not the best use of resources. If we can put that somewhere else where a lot of people are using it, unfortunately, we have to do that.
Yeah, and we'll keep updating as things come up on the changes from Madison Metro, and they adjust all the time. I mean, yes, they definitely reevaluate constantly as well, but at a bigger scope right now, if you will, and we'll keep you up to date on those changes as well. All right, Aaron, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. We'll check back in with you next month.
Thanks for having me. See you next month.
Sounds good. Your Mayor Aaron Richardson, and all the details of stuff we've talked about, we continue to talk about here on Talking Fitchburg. You can check our city's website, fitchburgwi.gov, for more information. Take a quick break. More to come. You're watching Talking Fitchburg.